The faculty are very committed to the idea that you guys should have some direction over your education and have some space here at this school to be who you are and pursue it in depth, maybe with some help from all of us. So at the Mastery Learning Moment, I always feel a lot of pride in the people that have done this exceptional thing. I want to do something extra. I want to work harder and show you something I care about and learn something. I feel like it's a very Crossroads-like, if I can use that as a positive adjective, Crossroads-like attribute that you would choose to do something extra and do it so well. So to Emily and Michaela, just well done already that you've worked so hard. Announcement just because I'm excited about it. The Mastery Learning Committee is now called the Mastery Learning Review Committee. It used to be called the Mastery Learning Faculty Committee, and we have changed it because we are now inviting students who have successfully completed a project to join us and help us in reviewing the project. So Emily and Michaela will get their invitation soon, and we thank the others who have gone before them. So people will probably come and go a little, and my apologies for that, but I do want to welcome people as they come in. So we'll have Michaela first, and then Emily.
Is it okay if I like sit and click, or would you guys prefer me to stand and talk? Either one doesn't matter.
Would you like a prompt? I can stand and
click. Anyway, so I did my Mastery Learning project on Braxton Union. The reason I really wanted to do a Mastery Learning project for Braxton Union is because I wanted a legacy. Like, you hear every year, Stuco or Turduncan. Like, I wanted BSU to be like a part of the culture for Crossroads, and so that was one of the main reasons that I started and did the Mastery Learning project for Braxton Union. Why we started Braxton Union just in general was either from hearing experiences through the hallways or personal experiences for myself. But together, Braxton Union last year had our quote that's on the back of our change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. President Barack Obama. So with that quote, I feel like that's the real reason BSU is BSU, because we are the change. We can't keep waiting on other people, so let's do it for us so that we can help the kids that come up after us. This is the mission that we came together to create, because I feel like Crossroads, like, we needed a mission. We can't just have like, oh, here's Braxton Union, let's just do stuff. So with this mission, we created a fun and safe space for discussions, educate, challenge different ideas and thoughts. So with this was not something that, as one of the founders, I created myself. It was something that I took from the different members of Braxton Union to create, so that it wasn't just oh, this is what I want to do, but this is something that we want to do together. And so with that, we also came up with the purpose of BSU. These are the things that we originally came up with, like having social events. So like, we had the Lunch and Learn last year that we're going to bring back, the celebration of Black Art Explosion, just different events where we can get people to hear issues in our community, the safe space, the history of Blacks, and exploring Black excellence. These are just some of the things that we came up together that was in our original flyer that we had when we did our original informational meeting last year. And then for the actual process that I took for my Mastery Learning project, I got in contact with different BSUs at collegiate level, so like St. Louis University, Rockhurst, Mizzou, got in contact with all these different schools because I felt that for our BSU to work, maybe we can take something that from a BSU that's been working for 30 plus years, maybe let's take something back from that so that we can use it here, so that after I graduate or after the kids who've been in BSU graduate, that it doesn't just fade away. Let's take something that's been working for 40, 50 years and use it. So these are some of the mission statements that actually came from some of the colleges that I looked at. I talked to the president of St. Louis University's BSA, actually, Rockhurst University, BSU. I actually got in contact with them because when my brother went to Rockhurst University, he was actually the president of the BSU, which was another one of the reasons why I wanted to start at Braxton Union. And so I got in contact with him. And then for Mizzou, they actually have a really interesting Braxton Union. It's more like a Stuco, but it's with the Black kids so that they can eradicate the changes and positive changes in ignorance in their school. So these are the mission statements that we took different pieces from to help create our BSU here. This is the structure that we currently use and that collegiate level BSUs also use. So they have presidents, vice presidents, secretaries, treasurers. We have a lunch and learn coordinator because we have lunch and learns, and a historian who just like takes photographs of the things that we do as a BSU together so that we can have, so it's not like we're just doing things and no one knows. Like these pictures will help us remember like these are the things that we did. And we also have our sergeant of arms. I've received feedback from our specific BSU, the members who've been there since basically day one. And this was a survey that we took last week, 2 weeks ago, somewhere around there. So it's just to help form the actual purpose for the proposal that's coming later in the presentation, and the possible change of changing our, instead of being a BSU, and turn it to a BSA, and the different leadership structures. It's just some things that I needed to hear back from our BSU that's already existing. And then also we had a discussion, it was called Bring a Brother Day, if you all remember. And so these are some of the like basic questions that we asked to hear from the black guys in the building who don't usually show out, because if you come into like a BSU meeting, it's all girls. So we were reaching out to the boys in the building, and we found out that some of the reasons that they don't come is they feel like it's like as black people in the building that we're separating ourselves, or that it's a ranting session, or it's not for everyone, or sometimes it's compared to JSU, just different things like that. And so with these things, I wanted to change the view that people have on what the BSU actually is, because it's not a ranting session. We're not just here to be like, hate this, hate that. So I wanted to change the view so that it's not just all girls, because it's not just black girls that experiences problems. We have black boys that also experience problems, and I wanted everyone's voices to be heard, and that's the reason for Braxton Union in the first place. With my proposal, part of my project was that I would have a proposal so that I would actually have a legacy with the BSU. So these are the different parts of my proposal. The structure, these are some things that we're going to plan on adding into the original structure that we already have. So like the Celebration of Black Art Explosion chair. So each one of these are chairs so that they will have a separate committee, so that it's not just like one person running everything, but they have one person who makes sure like, this is your job, this is your job. It'll help divide out jobs so that everyone feels like they have a leadership role, but they're not like drowned down in like trying to do everything on their own. And so social media, we're planning on getting like Instagram and Facebook so that we can also reach out to other BSUs at both the high school and the collegiate level, so that we're not just Crossroads BSU, we're Crossroads and help the St. Louis community BSU. These are some events that we're planning on doing, like a new member luncheon. I felt like everybody coming in as a new member, or like just trying to like find out, I feel like we should have something where you feel like, so it's like an induction, kind of like an induction ceremony, so that like you feel like you're actually a part of it. And it's not just like, oh, you come to a meeting every week, but like you actually know that like, hey, I'm actually a part of something, and no, you just don't show up. Movie nights, we're actually in the process of planning one for January. The details will be later coming, but it's going to be one in January. Lunch and learns, we do those, the Bring a Brother Day. And from the survey that we took as a BSU, the celebration of excellence is something that I feel like black students in the school really need. It's going to kind of like be an award ceremony for the black kids to recognize their talents, their attributes, and things that they bring to the school community. We'll plan field trips and all these other good things. The possible name change for the BSU will be the Black Student Alliance, which will be more inclusive to have people who support the ideas and the issues that black students struggle with, and it's not just the black kids are meeting. So like sometimes there are issues that other races or other ethnicities either both experience or feel like they can support, just like the GSA allows anyone to come because they support these certain views. And so that was one of the things that I thought about. And then another thing is when I was talking to St. Louis University, part of their thing is that it's a BSA because it's not an exclusive organization, but rather inclusive, as everyone is welcome to walk through the doors and share in this movement. Students of different races, ethnicities, and all walks of life frequent our events. So it was another idea that I thought about, and with that, that was part of my proposal. Thank you.
probably we have questions, but I'm going to be a little bit attentive to the time. So what I'm going to do is ask Emily to do hers now, and then I'm going to welcome everybody to stay. And Michaela, please stay so we can interact with you and talk to you and ask you questions. And Emily, if you can stay afterwards too. Yes, you can. Okay. Thank you. So please do stay, even if the time gets low. If you have a question for Michaela or a response, we'd love to have you stay and share that. So in a minute we will have Emily. Thank you all.
So I founded a small business called Dough Your Own Way for my Mastery Learning project. It's a business that makes edible cookie dough, and so the product are small single-serving 3-ounce jars of edible cookie dough. And when I was younger, I would always sneak cookie dough from while I was making cookies, even though I was told not to. And I know that even though lots of people do that, it's really not safe because of the risk of getting salmonella from the eggs. So making it without the eggs eliminates the risk, but it still tastes just as good. So I make these jars, and you can sit in one serving and eat it with a spoon. Before I picked my product, I researched a lot of the other edible cookie dough businesses that already existed, and I found that some of them had good packaging, some had good flavors, but none of them really had everything all together, and that was the best I thought they could be. And also there was only one other company that sells in St. Louis, so I thought it was a good market to open up, and I took the best ideas that I thought from each one and decided to create something for myself that would be better than the other existing companies. So the flavors that I had that were the most popular were chocolate chip and snickerdoodle. Originally I planned to do more flavors, but I tested many different recipes and talked to people and got feedback, and these were the most popular. And if I plan to continue with this business, I would certainly look into doing gluten-free options, because there are some people who've asked me about that before, and it seems like they would buy them, except they do have gluten allergies. So the thing that kind of makes my business different is the customization, where, as you can see here, I can customize for different events with different label colors, the name on the label, and the flavor. So for orders of 12 or more that people get for events, I can customize it to their event or to whatever their favorite is. So the target customers, well, here's a picture of my friends tasting them, because I had a bunch of tasting parties for my friends to get feedback. So the target customers were mostly kids and teenagers because of the appeal of dessert to young people. Also party hosts who could order the product in bulk to serve at a party, birthday party, graduation party, bat mitzvah, anything like that. And then another market that I thought of was college students, although I had difficulty kind of reaching this one because there's not a lot of places where I found that I could sell to college students without having a permit. So that was one difficulty I had with that. To market the product, I made flyers. I also spread word of mouth to friends about my business and where I was selling it so that people could come buy it. I had a few tasting parties with friends and family to get feedback on what they thought about it, what their favorites were, what they liked, what they didn't like. And then if I were to continue, I would definitely make a Facebook page and other social media and a website to market the product. To brand the product, I came up with a name pretty early. I wanted something that was catchy, memorable, fun, that kind of like fit the tone of cookie dough. So I worked with a graphic designer to design a logo, packaging, and sales materials. And these are some of the early versions of the logo that is in the other slides. So we kind of worked with that and made it into what it is now. One of the big challenges I had with the project was the fact that in order to sell food on a long-term basis, you need a health permit from the St. Louis County, which costs $130. You need to rent a commercial kitchen space because home kitchens do not really fit the rules and regulations of the health code. You also need to present a plan review and get it approved for a $210 fee. And then in order to sell at farmers markets, which was part of my plan also, that you need a vendor's permit, which also costs money. So I did plan to take it a little bit bigger, but that was one of the challenges I had because I wasn't making enough money to be able to spend this much to sell the product. So I did not do that. But if I do continue, then this would be something I would do in the future when the business got up and rolling and started making more money. To price the product, I calculated everything, all of my costs and my expenses to come up with a profit margin. And I asked friends and family for feedback on what they thought that they would pay for the size I was selling. I also compared to what other edible cookie dough businesses sell their products for. And then the biggest challenge I had with this was the perceived value versus the actual cost, because a lot of people thought that the size I was selling should be less money, but the costs of making it were actually much higher than you'd think they would be. So what people would think it would be cost was actually much different from what it actually cost. Also, the big problem I had with my pricing was that I used a very expensive container, so that brought my prices up pretty high. So if I were to use a less aesthetically pleasing container, then it would be a lot cheaper, but it does not look as good, so that was one of the problems I had with that. It's not very clear, but this is all the costs and expenses I had in making the project. If anyone wants to see it, I can go into it later, but I sold my product at a Crossroads volleyball game. I also sold it at a book club, and then for feedback, I sold it, well, I didn't sell it to. I brought the product to share with family and friends at tasting parties and gatherings. You can see here, that's one of my cousins taking stuff home to share with his friends. Yeah, I found it hard to find places to sell because of the permits needed and because of just all the difficulties of selling. So I planned to do more events, but these were all they had time for in the short amount of time. So the volleyball game, as you can see, I sold 15 cookie doughs, and it was really surprising to me how much effort and work goes into such a small profit, because even though I sold a lot, their profit was very small, and it was surprising to me. I also found that people do like chocolate chip a lot more than the snickerdoodle. It's a more popular flavor. Another challenge I had with this one was that because there were other products being sold at the volleyball game, it actually, I think, kind of decreased my sales because people wanted pizza or chips or something else. So I found that when I sold just the cookie dough, it was bought more. At the book club, I sold 19 and still had a very, very low profit, which I thought it would be a little bit higher because I sold more, but it was still not a lot. So this one I did sell better because I let them taste the product before they bought some, which I think helped a lot, and it makes you kind of think about grocery stores tasting things, like just kind of how seeing the product and seeing if you like it or not helps people to buy more. So they all bought more than the people at the volleyball game bought. Chocolate chip was also more popular at this one, but yeah. So overall, I found that it is very difficult to start a small business, and it takes a really long time to get things started and to launch the company because of all the time and effort it takes at the beginning to start such a small profit. You really have to keep going in order to make any money at all and be successful. The biggest difficulties I thought I had were with the health codes, just because there are so many rules, and it does cost a lot of money to get everything to be according to code and everything like that. And then another big issue I had was the packaging, because if I wanted the packaging to be nicer, it made the profit less, and if I wanted the packaging to be cheaper, it would give me bigger profits. So that kind of determined how much profit I was making. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Samples of the cookie dough in the back.
How much do they cost? So please stay and ask our masters, our new learning masters, about theirs. Really proud of you guys, and we're very grateful to the work you've done to get to this point. So thank you.